So as Campbell said, I'm Peter, a GP. The WSI means with special interest in sport and exercise medicine. So who am I? I'm a GP in Poland medical practice, so I work between Eddington and Woollavington, just near Bridgewater. I also work in Musgrove A&E, and I'm a student of sports medicine in Bath doing a study in sports medicine. And I also work with diabetes.co.uk as one of their medical advisors. So I'm on the front line, a GP at the coalface, just like Catherine's as well, really, and many people here today in the front line trying to combat this epidemic of lifestyle-related factors. Metabolic disease you've heard of today, so it encompasses lots of different things, and we'll try and give you a definition for that so we all feel a bit more comfortable with what we're talking about. So that's where the firefighting that I do happens, just in Woollavington and Eddington, but there's fires in Bridgewater all over the Western world, unfortunately. So looking at metabolic syndrome, and I thought it would be useful to define what actually we mean by that. The International Diabetes Federation in 2006 said that you have to have central obesity or a BMI over 30 and 2 out of the following. So raised triglycerides, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes, and a reduced HDL or a protective cholesterol. So what is the scale of the problem, and every pun intended? Looking at the global issue of lifestyle-related factors is just staggering. Any Western country you go to, you're going to see obesity, you're going to see these issues. The concern that we have really as a GP, to go back slightly, is the fact that this creates a false sense of security, or what I call a false wellness. So all these can go on under the radar for years and years and years before anyone's aware. So basically, there's a huge problem globally. If you've got metabolic syndrome, it's about a quarter of the world's adult population. So a quarter of this room. It's quite scary. You're 2 times increased risk of having a heart attack or stroke, 5 times higher risk of having type 2 diabetes. The global incidence of diabetes is going to rise. It's going to double by 2025 with an enormous, obvious burden on healthcare costs. To open up to the group, in 2003, the direct healthcare on EU countries was $65 billion. What do we think the predicted cost is going to be in 2025? Any ideas? 100? Any more? 600. 340. So nearly 400. So that's quite scary. So bringing it back, so that's global. Let's bring it a bit to the UK. We are champions at ultra-processed food. We're doing really, really well at eating this kind of stuff. We're the worst country in the EU at this ultra-processed, so food that's packaged, highly, highly refined, lots, far, far removed from when it comes in its most natural form. Just to highlight, the Mediterranean countries are really, really good at this. But on my own Ireland, obviously, just equally as bad, but just not quite in the red. We're not alone. So this is England. This is every country in the Western world really has rising rates of obesity from about 1970, 1980 when the USA started. We were a bit behind, but we're all following a trend. And then bring it even closer to home. So this is England's obesity hotspots. And we're doing really well down here. The darker we are, the worse we are. So unfortunately, despite, well, we're actually the worst in the Southwest. So it just shows that, you know, we're not doing very well down here. About 70% of men being obese and over 50% of women. By 2020, 8 out of 10 men are going to be obese and 7 out of 10 women are going to be obese. Staggering. We worry about obesity for many reasons. Obviously, we have our own worries about you want to look well, you want to have clothes fit you, you want to be healthy. But on a microvascular level, and the real damage is coming from these macrophages around adipose tissue. So these little cells around fat cells, they excite these boys here. Very, very, very bad. Resulting in liver disease, and we have a liver specialist here, so obviously hopefully she will be looking at a bit more. So this really is bad news. Just by being obese, you're exciting all of this badness, which results in this endothelial dysfunction and microvascular disease, which is really quite scary. We obviously know then obesity, this is quite a big market from a big targeting campaign from the Cancer Research UK, again looking at the fat cells, inflammation, and we're learning so much about this all the time, but the more we're finding out, the more scary obesity really is. We know about obesity and we know about what it is to be healthy, but generally the Joe public says, well, eat less, move more. But when we're looking at the proportion of disease globally, inactivity is down here, smoking is down here, but diet is a huge factor. So yes, I'm a GP, yes, I believe in exercise, I believe in the whole lifestyle, and we've heard from Catherine and other people today the importance of a balanced lifestyle. 10 minutes isn't enough to go through all of those in particular, so I'm going to focus heavily on diet because I feel that's where I can get the most bang for my buck in 10 minutes as a GP. The elephant in the room is often something we call insulin resistance, which we're learning more and more about. Is everyone familiar with insulin resistance? Getting a couple of nods. So basically, it's the tip of the iceberg here is the gout, blood pressure, bad lipids, cholesterol, arterial disease. But right under here, you have this huge iceberg, basically. On the right here, you've got people who are very lucky. They're carbohydrate tolerant. They're athletes, people who can eat whatever they want. They're stick thin, and often they can do very well. They don't need to be in a low carb diet. They do just fine as they are. For the majority of us, or by the 70% of us or so who are overweight and obese, often are intolerant to carbohydrates. And they've got something called insulin resistance, resulting in high waistline, obesity, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, things we're going to hear about all day today. So it's all encapsulated. The guidelines from the International Diabetes Federation look at a moderate calorie restriction, increase in PA, which is physical activity, change in dietary composition, and to treat the individual components of the syndrome. So just to remind ourselves what they are, so you've got obesity, then you've got your type 2 diabetes, blood pressure, and cholesterol. So we think about statins, tablets, rather than looking at the obesity. Looking at NICE guidelines for diabetes, they encourage a high fiber, low glycemic index sources of carbohydrate in the diet. So looking at my own patients, this chap you can see his weight gain from 2003 to 2015-16. So you can see here, steady, big weight drop, and then a significant weight gain. Another patient, a bit of a weight gain here, which coincides with type 2 diabetes, or pre-diabetes in this case. Another chap, slight increase in weight, increase in his diabetes level, so worsening control. Another lady, lots of these. I'll try and explain what these dips in weight could signify. Diabetes, weight, diabetes. This is metabolic syndrome. This is a patient of mine called Donna. She's allowed me to use this today, and she has had metabolic syndrome. This is what the reality we're facing with. We walk in Taunton High Street, you walk in Oxford Street, you walk down any street in England, you're going to see Donna. Weight, diabetes. So, carry on. I'm conscious of time. So as a GP, 2 years ago, I'd say what you need to do is eat less and move more. And if you can't do that, we'll give you medication, we'll give you statins, give you blood pressure tablets, we'll give you diabetes tablets, and hopefully we'll get your numbers right. As Catherine was saying, we'll get the numbers right, because we can't do much about this. We say to eat. Have you heard about the Eat Well guide? So it's designed to be healthy, and that can often, for some people with metabolic syndrome, lead to this glucose spike and a resulting dip in your insulin. We also say to move more, and people think that means joining a gym. But we're living in a world of convenience. Thankfully, we don't have any gyms with escalators here, but I dare say if we did in Taunton, they'd be used more than the stairs. When we look about Eat Well, Move More, there's a very interesting study done in America in JAM in 2006. They looked at people following a normal diet and people following an Eat Less, Move More approach, and they found that at 9 years, it was just the same. So it's easy to kind of keep the Eat Less, Move More for a while, and people can often relate to that. I know I can when I tried to do it myself in the past. Very hard to do after a certain period of time. Has anybody watched The Biggest Loser USA? Brilliant TV. So is everyone familiar with what the concept is? A couple of us knows there. So what they do is they get really, really big people, like morbidly obese people, get them into a fat camp. They get some TV presenters, get some motivational speakers, put these people through hell, basically, for good TV. Some of them lose weight, some of them don't. They did a study, this was from 2009, and they looked at where these people are in a couple of years' time. The Biggest Loser has had 9 seasons. Do you know how many reunions they've had? How many reunion episodes? 0. These people don't tend to do well over long periods of time. Every patient that started the study started up here, and they all lost weight. Okay, they did the Eat Less, Move More. However, their basic metabolic rate dropped as well. Okay. With the weight loss group, everyone's weight regained. Can everyone see that? Apart from a couple who've had, they had gastric banding surgery. looking at the metabolism rates, not only did most people's metabolic rates slow, despite the weight gain, for many, it continued to slow down. Exercise is very important. We know that for many, many reasons. For metabolic syndrome, it's no different. This looks at high-intensity interval exercise. This is steady-state exercise. This is no exercise. So there's a clear correlation that the high-intensity or HIIT exercise is probably better than steady-state for people who want to improve metabolic syndrome. I don't want anyone to go away from today that you don't need to exercise, because you definitely do, but I just can't focus on both for now. So eat less, do more. So we all have our basic metabolic rate, which is going to our energy intake. If we cut our energy intake, we'll cut our metabolic rate. Otherwise, we'll just die. If we use more energy than we're taking in, we just die. Anybody who's done an eat less, move more severe calorie restriction diet will say it's very hard to stick to, because you've got to your goal weight, you've got to your wedding, you've done whatever it is, or it's just too hard. And you often go back to the old way of eating. Unfortunately, the basic metabolic rate doesn't get the memo and stays at the same. So you're then left with often an energy surplus. So when we talk about patients, we look at the food that we're telling people to eat. This is a standard breakfast, which is often said to be healthy, and would be accepted if you were to ask a child on the street or most adults what a healthy breakfast would be. It's got cornflakes, milk, brown toast, and pure apple juice. Does anybody want to hazard a guess how many teaspoons of sugar would be in that? 21. Okay. You compare that to a breakfast which has got low carbohydrate, eggs, mushrooms, cheese, tomato, coffee with some milk. Anyone hazard a guess? Less than 1. Do you see where the problem could be? We look at fruit, but fruit's healthy. Okay, so yes, some fruit can be healthy, but if you've got metabolic syndrome, you want to reduce some of your sugar levels. You've got bananas, grapes, apples. I try and focus on stone fruits, strawberries, and fresh berries. Bread's the same. What about bread? Well, are some bread better than others? Well, they all kind of going to rise your blood sugars in a certain way. And of course, breakfast cereals, Cocoa Pops, cornflakes, mini wheat, shredded wheat, oat porridge. Nearly every diabetic I know says, I'm having porridge for breakfast, maybe with a banana. So we can see that often it's very healthy for some people. Oats can be very helpful for people, but if you have an issue with your sugar content of food, you can see there could be a problem with what you're having every day. So, how do I do what I do? So, 15 minutes, I'm very lucky in my surgery, 15 minutes, so by the time someone comes into the surgery, sits down, takes a cut off, you're looking at the clock's ticking in about 12 minutes. So I always ask patients for lifestyle. Is it okay to talk about your lifestyle? Is that something you want to talk about today? Because there's no point in me saying what I think they should do, because it's not going to happen. Ask permission. I know you mentioned goals were important to you, but often they can be for others, and we try to identify how am I going to help somebody unlock themselves? What is it I can do to help them be the best version of them, just like Casson did for you? I find goal setting to be helpful, both long-term and short-term. I try and educate people on what healthy food is, what GI food is, involve them in their decision-making, support them, and signpost them to further resources. I always leave patients home with a real food list. So eat some of these, eat less of these, try and eat very little of these. It's quite simple. I try to use SMART goals. Is everyone familiar with what SMART goal concept is? Fine. Everyone happy with what SWOT analysis is? Fine. I find the SWOT analysis particularly useful. So that's the patient's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I prefer to spend more time on the SWOT because that helps visualization about barriers and how we're going to overcome them together. I like to use solution-focused therapy. So if I ask a patient, how far are you on your journey to being better? They'll say, well, I'm a 3. I say, well, what's going to make you a 4? What are you going to feel like at a 4? What are your family going to make you feel like? How's it going to be? I often write down a signed agreement. So you want to come back in 6 weeks. You want to lose a stone. You want to be healthier. I'll get them to write it down. I'll sign it and they'll sign it and then they'll take it home with them. It's a real privilege to be a GP, to go on the journey with patients. We're all on our own journeys, which brought us here today, and we'll see each other again sometimes, maybe not. But the beauty of being a GP or a health coach or any healthcare worker is it's an enormous privilege to be on the journey with them. And it's a real honour to be able to help people improve their metabolic health. It has to be personalised, it has to be individualised to that person. I totally agree with what's been said before, low carb isn't for everybody. In fact, it can be dangerous for some people. So we have to be very careful what we do. It's certainly not a blanket advice for everybody, but certainly those who find it's helpful, don't look back. I like to make it very simple for patients, because if you say eat less, move more, it's not very tangible. It's kind of, yeah, well, you know, I know that. Eat healthily, I know that. I look at the 84 rule. Does anyone know what the 84 rule is? So I say to patients, how many meals a day do you have? I have 3. Well, then you have 84 meals a month. I'm like, okay, I have 84 meals a month. And then say, do you think you could improve maybe 60 of those meals in the month, in the first 6 weeks? And I thought, actually, I probably could do that. And then we start the ball rolling, rather than saying, you just need to do this. Is there a way in which we can do things better and make it simpler for them? I like to use imagery. So living where we do, I'm working where I do, lots of lorry drivers from Morrison's. Other supermarkets also exist, but Morrison's seems to be a big depot where I am. And I say, listen, it's kind of like, from a metabolic point of view, your engine is just on overdrive all the time. If we can improve the food you're taking in, if we can get a bit better look at your sleep, reduce your stress, you're going to bring that speeder right down again. You're going to be living the way you're supposed to live. You're not going to be carrying 50 kilograms. Your body isn't designed to carry that. So you're going to feel better on a daily basis. I also say to patients, well, if you go to Bristol Zoo and you see monkeys in a display, what are they going to be eating? Are they going to be having McDonald's? No, okay. Are they going to be having soft drinks? No, okay, fine. So it's making it simple. What is normal for our habit? Yes, you can have grains and potatoes and bread and rice, that's fine, but if you've got metabolic syndrome and if you have an issue with sugar, it's probably going to be harmful for you. I like to use imagery, so when we talk about diet, exercise, I say let's focus on nutrition for now, get the exercise further. It's very hard for patients to make a huge lifestyle change in one day. I've got to exercise and eat healthier, it's going to be really hard. I say, okay, well, let's just stick to nutrition for now and we'll focus on exercise later. And time again, patients come back and say, actually, I'm walking a bit more, or I've started running again, and they begin to get this more energy. So I try and focus on food. You've got 84 choices to eat food in a month, which can improve or impact your health negatively. So for somebody with diabetes, so we covered this already with Tara. So this is what we're often, so when patients say, I don't understand that I eat healthy, I don't eat very much fat, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm having bread, I'm having what I'm supposed to be having. As Tara already said, starch breaks down the glucose. So for someone with diabetes, that's basically what it is once you measure their blood sugar levels. So this is the standard kind of approach, have grains at the bottom and then build up to the top. I say actually, that's the normal diet. It's kind of came about for the last 50 years. Can we just cut that out and make it into a square, focus on on properly raised meats, on low GI fruits and veg, plenty of eggs, healthy fats. And that's basically it, really. We make a list and we give it home to them, and they can then take it from there. Obviously, when it comes to fats, it's important to make a statement to not trans fats, obviously, as Tara said. So your Greg's pasties, your McDonald's, your Burger Kings. Better to focus on your unsaturated. Try and limit your processed meats where you can. So it's time for a bit of audience participation. How many carbohydrates on the plate? And is it equal? So when we say about a low carbohydrate diet, people often are a bit concerned, but actually there's quite a lot of carbohydrate there compared to one of those. And I know if I'm going to barbecue, I'll have at least 4 of those and 2 burgers. I wouldn't think about it. I wouldn't have 4 plates of that. There's no way I would. 20 grams of carbohydrates there compared to 1 potato, bit of spaghetti, a bit of rice. So rather than being a dramatic, dangerous diet which is unsafe and unhealthy, this is lots of colour, lots of healthy fat, and it's going to do much better to our bodies than this is. So on to the patients. First patient, 14 kilograms, 2 stone loss, off of medication, off his allopurinol, and more importantly for him, he's off his Viagra. Patient 2, he had an increase in weight. He's lost 24 kilograms, 3 stone, off blood pressure medications, and also his diabetes, type 2 diabetes is into remission. Patient 3, this is a good indication, and this is a good example for me when I show patients that this is a lifestyle change for life, really. If you go back on the way you used to go, it's going to come back up again. It's not a quick fix, it has to be a lifestyle change. Despite that, it has total 12 kilogram weight loss. Diabetes into remission initially, and it shows it creeps back up. So it's a good lesson that this is a lifestyle change which has to happen forever, or else it will come back. Again, more weight loss, similar stories to before. Pre-diabetes into remission, None of these patients have joined gyms. Okay, this is all through food, all through real food. 15.5 kilograms, and just in 18 months, diabetes normal range. Okay, 23 kilogram weight loss. This is diabetes, so this is quite a good point actually. So this chap has been on his own journey, 2005, I can't take credit for that. Steady weight loss, but in the last wee while, significant drop. So 128 to about 17. His diabetes is now into remission. Was on 4 tablets here. He's on metformin here. So serious de-prescribing, helping him on his journey of metabolic health, helping the local NHS budget, 1 patient, but all we need is more and more and more and more and more. This is probably my proudest moment so far. So this gentleman came to me with type 2 diabetes, new diagnosis, totally shattered. What does it mean? I don't know what it's going to be. HbA1c 133 in March of last year. It's now 51. He's on metformin. He's still having porridge for breakfast, so it could get a bit better. But it just shows what we can do. There's no medication to do this. They don't exist. So this is what he's doing. I'm just empowering him, I'm unlocking him, and it's not me being anything special. I don't have the answers, but certainly this approach is very, very powerful. And finally, it's the last patient. So, obvious improvement in diabetes, only on metformin, again, off 3 medications. LDL cholesterol, so one of your dangerous cholesterols, slightly risen, but no real increased risk. Triglycerides, significant drop. HDL, so all the factors of metabolic syndrome improving. That was done 18 months ago. That's done now. She has done 2 half marathons, the last which was accompanied by her granddaughter as a prize. This fills us with lots of pride because the hope that we're giving her, that she's given her family, her granddaughter's friends, this is empowering women, it's empowering her, it's giving this girl hope that actually I can exercise. You don't have to be a man to exercise, you can do this as a woman. And she's a fabulous advocate for what we're doing. The real message I try to say to people is eat real food. Call it low carb, high fat, call it low carb, call it just eat real food, call it what you like. It's a powerful message and the ripples are moving around. I thought I'd finish with this. So the complications of diabetes are caused by high blood sugar. Yes. What foods cause high blood sugar? Carbohydrate. What should I eat? Carbohydrate. So we're in a bit of a pickle at the moment, but hopefully we can make things better. So just to wrap things up, I'm sure I've overrun out of time. We've got a lifestyle epidemic. I try and identify goals with patients. I try and get the intrinsic motivation factors for them. No point in me putting my extrinsic factors on them. You've got to be healthier. You've got to improve blood pressure. It's all about what comes from within. One person's goal is going to be separate from someone else's. One person's low carb or something else's low carb. What are their motivators? What makes them sparkle? What gives them their mojo back? Signpost to resources, educate, involve and support. Not just as a GP, but as all the healthcare professionals we have here today. And a clear focus on real unprocessed food. Thank you very much.